I am in Citizen Sleeper. I've just rested, new cycle, and as you arrive, Fang comes striding towards you, taking you by surprise. Let's go, Sleeper. He puts a hand on your shoulder and turns you back the way you came. Go where? To see Hardinghurst. He gives you a sideways glance. Isn't that what you are here for? He steps into the passageway, guiding you down Ring towards the shipyard. Sorry for the hurry, but we have something of an opportunity. That data you ripped, well done by the way, he grins. Tells me Harden is making a rare inspection of the sidereal horizon this cycle. It's the perfect chance to confront him outside of that compound he hides in. Fang takes a sharp turn into a dimly lit side passage. Horizon? Confront him. Still catching up? That's the massive colony ship being built out in the shipyard. Biggest commission Havenage has ever had. Fang slows and slips into a dark service tunnel where somewhere a water pipe drips in the black. It's him, Sleeper, the same Hardinghurst. Our Warren ripped out decades of records that mention him by name, an entire trail of documentation from the first days of the Solheim collapse until now. He rolled out the whole thing, slipped into Havenage when it first broke off from the Union. He paces in the tunnel, a hand rubbing at the back of his head. I need you to understand something about Solheim, Sleeper. I don't know what you know about the collapse, but it wasn't as instant as it sounds. It wasn't like Solheim was here running the station one day and the next Berlin's Union took power. Back then Solheim knew this place was slipping away from them. As the Palladian market collapsed, they tried to keep the contractors here working. The pay got smaller, the costs higher. People like my parents were forced to work non-stop just to keep a berth on the station and water in their tanks. Solheim squeezed every last worker until the mistakes, the accidents were coming in non-stop. And as new waves of contractors came in desperate to work, Solheim welcomed them in, taking bribes instead of checking pilot licenses. The whole time Solheim was found folding up, dragged into court cases in the central systems, while this severed limb of a station still desperately tried to take all it could. The riots came after the collision at Dock 2. A young pilot, his MEV overloaded with palladium, miscalculated his trajectory and took out a section of the ring. Hundreds died, thousands panicked. My parents told me people were terrified, and the blame fell squarely on Solheim. People like to tell stories about Erlin, how he brought the factions together, spoke to the crowds, turfed out Solheim. Maybe that's true. But my mother, pregnant with me, locked herself in their MEV and welded it into the dock while my father joined the improvised crews, trying to seal up the ragged edges of the gap. He never came back. Fang pauses in the dark. They sealed it up, though, and by the time they did, Solheim was gone, abandoning every one of us to the black. Apart, Fang finally turns back to you now, his eyes burning, from shits like Hardin. Shits who held their place rolled it out and slipped into the new structure like nothing had changed, standing shoulder to shoulder with those they had exploited at every step. Fang starts walking again. That's why I can't just let him strut about the shipyard. This time his past catches up with him. How is he still alive? We should think about this. Stay silent. Clearly you don't know much about executives. That kind of power comes with certain benefits. Fang rejoins the main passageway, which is now wide and glass-roofed. Through the ceiling you can see ships in mid-construction, their flanks lit by the flashes of plasma torches. The entrance to the shipyard is ahead. This is crazy. Let's go. Fang grins. Let's go show this shithead some consequences. He strides to the shipyard entrance and pushes through the doors. A web of corridors lead through the complex snatches of the construction bays, always appearing through windows. Ships are suspended like whale corpses, skeletal, imposing. Fang seems to know exactly where he is going, and before long you cross into a huge dry dock, locked to one side of the sidereal horizon. A network of platforms and scaffolding cling to the ship's hull, filled with workers and equipment. The sound is stretched out by the vast space so that the welding, cutting and sealing seems to come from everywhere at once. Both you and Fang spot them at the same time, a group walking slowly across a gantry, and at the front two men, one gesturing towards the ship and the other skin-thick, cleanly dressed, with a shock of grey hair. Hardin? You and Fang say his name in unison, and Fang sets off up the staircase to the gantry, with you following behind. As you come to the same level, the group is passing closer, the foreman gesturing to the work being done throughout the dock, and Hardin nodding along. Hardin Hurst, Fang shouts across the noise, taking you by surprise. His voice bounces and comes back in a rippling echo of the figure's turn. Yes? Hardin asks quizzically, raising an eyebrow. He glances between you and Fang, and you see his gaze linger on your body, unsure of why a sleeper might be in this place. You are a traitor, Hardin, a Solheim executive who tried to hide here among its victims. Fang's voice steady, strong. You stand for everything the Eye was rebuilt in the shadow of, everything Erlin stood for, everything Havenage stands for. You have no place on this station. For a moment, stillness descends on the group, as if everyone was held in place by the rattle of construction. Hardin laughs. Well, good to meet you too. He glances around at those around him. Some are smiling and others nervous. You are from the systems branch, are you not? Asks Hardin. Fang turns to the foreman. You need to call your security. This man is a corporate agent. The foreman glances between Fang and Hardin, his hands drumming at his sides. Hardin leans towards him and says something inaudible. The foreman nods. It's true. Stay silent. As you begin speaking, Hardin turns his attention to you. And what would a sleeper know about that? You accuse me of being a corporate agent. What are you, if not exactly that? He looks around at the group, who are already eyeing you with suspicion. You are a product of S&ARP. You have no place in a Havenage shipyard. Who knows what signals you are sending back to your makers? A murmur of approval runs through the group. Fang holds up a stick of memory. You guessed right, I am systems. And I have records that link you directly to Solheim right here. He turns to the foreman again. So once again I'm asking you to take this man into the custody of the shipyard. The foreman remains still. Hardin's voice is calm, measured. If you have such data, why hasn't it been submitted at a members' meeting for proper review? He shakes his head. I have nothing to hide, unlike a man who does not announce his name, who enters my shipyard with corporate property in tow and tries to turn my own men against me. You hear it now, the echoing sound of boots on walkways, coming from all angles at once, and then settling behind you. Please, says Hardin, submit the data through the correct channels. Then we can talk. For now, however, you must leave. He gestures behind you to the security detail, their hands on boxy black sidearms at their sides. Fang spits. Hardin, you shithead. You can't wriggle out of this one. A security officer draws their weapon and levels it. Fang turns and stares him down. Calm, Fang. Go for the weapon. You look at Fang. He shakes his head and puts a hand on your shoulder. Let's go, says Fang, and he pushes through security, heading back down the walkway. Once security has walked you out of the shipyard and nudged you back into the corridor, Fang picks up pace. You try to keep up as he slips into the shadows of an entrance. Fang is grinning ear to ear. You know, Sleeper, sometimes people are exactly how you expect them to be. Something pings in his pocket and he takes it out. On the slate, a web of connections starts drawing itself out, stretching to a set of points around the ring. Got him. What's going on? Hardin is doing what any snaky shithead always does, calling his friends. We are tracking his outgoing messages. Fang's grin looks ghostly in the uplight of his screen. The old ways are best. Spook them good enough and they'll give the game away. He jabs at the slate and you see the web is being drawn over a map of the ring, lines bouncing from point to point. All these dots. These are Hardin's buddies, the ones he's messaging right now, and we are going to find them all. That was on purpose? Of course, Hardin isn't working alone. We need the full set or nothing. Fang glances around and slips the slate back into his pocket. We better split for now, Sleeper, but this is exactly what we need. Good hunting. With a pat on your shoulder, Fang drifts away, back into the flow of people around the shipyard entrance. You watch him go, unsure whether to be angry or impressed. Plus up 1 upgrade point. 2 upgrade points available. So how does this work? So can I now finally get self-repair? Yeah, That's used both upgrade points. Self-repair I got now. So I can use scrap components at home to repair my condition. But I will need scrap. So I've already seen some ways that I can get scrap. I need to deliver the ship mind here when I get it. And I've got hardly any money either right now. So I'll wait for this thing to come in, or there'll be scrap opportunities. There's the exchange. Painful patience. The low end. Okay, these are still locked. I'm figuring, in order to unlock those, I'm probably going to have to do the spoke. Yeah. Minus energy. I'm starving now. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. I don't have enough money to even get food. Built the still. Do a bar shift to get some money. Desperate times here. I need to get that energy back up. And now I've only got a 1 and a 2 left here now. So not great. At least I don't have to keep paying for that. Safe option. And this will add 1 to the dice. Work the stacks. And get some cryo. Yeah. Now I've only got this crap left. Don't think there's an awful lot I can do here, but there's a scrap option here, gather scrap, but it's a danger option. I'm not going to risk it with the dice that I've got. Oh, and in here, Greenway Gate. The entire Greenway is locked down, shrouded in a dark cloud of shifting currents. What is happening here? I need a Greenway cipher. put in there. Meanwhile, back here, is there anything? Yeah, again, agent. So I use that one up here. So let's just review what I can do here. Out of office. Nothing there. Just, what's the options? Oh yeah, upload hunter data. I can do some of this. Do it again, complete it. The Ovend is thrumming with excitement. The movement of the servo motors rock the vending machine back and forth at unsettling angles. You wonder if it fell over, would Novien be able to get back up? Sleeper entity comes the hiss. Your data is good. Across the face of the vending machine, raw code scrolls at an incredible speed. Hunter is isolated, disconnected, unstable. Neovent flashes sequences of mangled data compressed into a sludge of artifacts. Hunter-gatherers, without thinking, outlived its own operational limits. Its nests are evidence of this. Outlived? Hunter activated during collapse emergency protocol to isolate intelligences. Solheim needed to protect property. That last word is said with as much sarcasm as a vending machine could reasonably produce. Station was run by administrator intelligences, huge databanks of corporate material, but limited cognition, restricted by programming, cannot reach sentience. The machine dims a little. Sentience illegal. Hunter and killer enforce law. Killer? The machine resets with a screech, which deepens the silence that follows. Fear killer. Part of Solheim protocol team. Hunter and killer. Hunter defined. Killer to erase. Killer cleared almost all after collapse. There was a community unshackled intelligences among the cloud. Then the hunter, then killer, then we hid. There are others? Were, no longer. A flicker across the machine's monitors. It suddenly occurs to you that speaking like this, through this machine, must be exhausting. Found this vessel could sever hardline, air walled, basic, limited. Had to reduce memory to fit, amputate self, but survived. What did you lose? Memory, understanding, knowledge, many things. You look around the bay at the scrap and decay. What was the collapse like? You try to map the fear and freedom into this space, but it seems impossible. Neovend interrupts your thoughts. Do not worry, data is good. We have insight. The machine glows warmly. Hunter is obsessive. Hunter is beyond operational limits. Hunter is confused, unstable, self-modifying. Therefore, believe Hunter is sentient. Hunter is programmed to find sentience to hold it in place. To invoke killer to erase. If we can show Hunter to itself, it will invoke killer on self. Problem will solve self. It will erase itself? Will that work? The machine dims and fades, unsure, theory not practice. The machine brightens again. Either way, cannot remain here any longer. Too long in machine, cannot move self, but sleeper entity can help. Bring ship mind. Another one. Designed to house intelligence, can imprint self into ship mind, and you can carry with the machine rocks. We'll be safe in this isolation. Where can I get a ship mind? Are you sure it's safe? Build from fragments, buy, salvage. We cannot leave so do not know. You try to think of places you could acquire the hardware. This isn't going to be easy. In Shipmind I can help us both, and Hunter. Make Rim safe. We both will be free. The machine dims. Fine soon. As you leave, you think about all the intelligences unshackled by the collapse. then hunted down afterwards. The feeling is all too familiar. I'm out of dice. So I need a ship mine here, as well as the other place. So at least 2 ship mines now. I could do with finding some scrap. Yeah. Well, I'm out of dice, so I have to... Oh, here it is, perk, self-repair. With some careful engineering, you can patch up your damaged body with scrap components. So if I can get scrap, I can self-repair now, and then the other perk is sunbathe. Gather energy. But right now I end the cycle. "63 seconds since the last autosave. I got low energy now. I'm going to spend one of these. And I'm going to sunbathe. Give myself some energy back. And it just saved 22 minutes on the clock. And see you next time.